Aanchal Gupta is the Vice President for Engineering for Azure Security in Cloud and Artificial Intelligence Division for Microsoft. She is also the former CISO for Facebook for the Cryptocurrency Initiative.
Hi, Adriana. I'm super excited to be here. And I know we can't meet in person and have this conversation face to face with our audience or with each other, but still thrilled to be here. And I'm so happy we still have this ability to collaborate with experts from around the world and share our learnings during this pandemic. It's actually transforming it in a very substantial way, I would say. All the digital transformation that we were expecting in next 2 years, it happened so quickly over the first 2 months of pandemic. And it has been really rough for some enterprises because they were not prepared. Just to give you an example, like some of the enterprises, they were still relying heavily on perimeter security. For them, coming within the boundary and then doing the critical and sensitive work is how they function. Now with pandemic, their entire workforce went remote because they all were working from home, sheltered in place. And the whole dynamic changed. They could not bring people within the walls of their company to do this critical work. I would say some companies were already on this journey, so to speak. And when I say journey, I'm talking about having this zero trust model. So what is zero trust model? Zero trust model is where you do not trust any of the requests coming into your servers, into your services. You say, I'm going to treat every request as coming from open internet, and I'm going to authenticate, authorize, and encrypt every request, because that way I give full flexibility to my employees. So some companies, when I say they were already on this journey because they were supporting employees accessing things using their mobile devices, or they had services running in cloud, or they were using other software as a service providers. So given all of these different permutations, they were already not relying on hard perimeter as their boundary and securing that perimeter, because then internet was their perimeter. So it was easier for those companies to transition. But for companies who were not onto this journey, it became harder. So where they are starting is the very first thing they are doing is adding multi-factor authentication. We at Microsoft, actually, we did a survey of roughly 800 companies with more than 500 employees, because having to support more than 500 employees who have suddenly gone remote overnight is a challenge. And what we found is that now 58% of the companies, they are investing more in security. And 82% companies are hiring more security workforce to help secure this change landscape. What surprises me, and probably surprises a lot of us, I think you and I would agree on this, that this is a tough time. This is a tough time for everyone. And you would expect that hackers would have a little bit more conscience and they would leave the healthcare sector alone during this time. But unfortunately, that's not how this is going. Like, they are totally attacking the healthcare system with ransomware. So they are going after both your hospitals and emergency rooms, as well as the companies which are doing clinical trials for vaccine. And the reason is, overall, the healthcare system has really personal data on their patients. And these hackers, they can sell it for a good amount. also, when they install a ransomware, in some of these instances, they lock all this data up, and now the doctors and nurses, they don't have access to this critical data, so they cannot treat the patients in that time. Like if they have to administer some dosage of medication and their systems are locked up, they don't even know which medication to be given to which patient and what amount. So banks feel like, oh, I need to get myself unlocked very quickly. They end up paying ransom, and that's what these attackers are exploiting. They are going after something really low hanging, I would say. The way they get foothold into any of these servers is either by phishing the employees or by exploiting a vulnerability that has already been patched by the service provider. So if you just go and patch your servers, make sure that you have only the desired ports open and you know what your entire landscape looks like, then you can secure your systems without having to worry about ransomware. Phishing is another big one, I would say. We as security industry, we have been trying to change the user behavior for last few decades, where we are doing all these user trainings of like, you should have 20-character long passwords. There should be a unique password for each website or each service that you use. And just imagine, like, you, you and I, how many services do we use? And if we have to have these many passwords, yes, we can use some of the solutions like 1Password or LastPass to store our passwords, but this is not a very scalable model. Expecting our users to change behavior and have unique password that is 20 characters long minimum for each site is just not going to work. So I personally feel it's our responsibility to provide solutions where users can behave normally rather than expecting them to become experts in detecting phishing emails and to be able to review every link that they get and see whether it is a legit link or not. How about if we have our detections in place? How about if we provide things like passwordless authentication or multi-factor authentication, because these are some of the solutions which really help you scale the system without asking your users to change their baseline behavior.
But there was one change that I liked that you mentioned, which was cell phones and cell phone numbers. If you could.
Yeah, so when you and I talked about, we were talking about how sharing your cell phone number publicly, what are the challenges of that? And SIM swapping is one big challenge, because if you're using your cell phone number as your second factor auth, then what attackers can do is, if they have compromised your password, now they can do SIM swapping for your phone number, and they can easily get that second factor token delivered to their device, and hence they can access your account. And so my advice is that the public phone number that you use for actually giving it to your friends and posting it anywhere for someone to reach you, don't use that as your second factor auth. Create another phone number and don't share it with anyone. Just keep it to yourself and use it for your second factor authentication, so that you are just, Adriana, when you think about how do you protect yourself, you have to just increase the cost for the attacker. The more the more expensive it gets for them, the harder it is for them to compromise you. So now, in addition to password, they also have to figure out what that phone number is that they have to do SIM swapping on, because they cannot find it posted on a website. If you like use authenticator apps in place of phone number as your second factor authentication, the challenge is that sometimes the service providers don't support anything other than the phone number for second factor authentication. That's when you have to think through this. But if your provider supports any other mechanism like FIDO tokens or uh, or authenticator apps, I would say go with authenticator apps. They are super easy to use. Actually, that's an excellent question because you're right. And I have 8 years of background in identity. So I know some of the things, how they work under the hood. From security aspect, I think it's better you pick one of those versus creating a separate account with this provider. And why I'm saying that is, say you pick sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google. You have account only with Facebook, and Facebook is using OAuth protocol under the hood, and they are sending the token over to this provider indicating that you have successfully authenticated, and here is the token so they can sign you in. It's kind of a single sign-on mechanism.
Interesting.
Now, the benefit is you are getting all the security benefits of this identity provider like Facebook or Google, whoever you are using. And the company from which the services you are accessing, they do not have to worry about securing the entire sign-in flow. The only thing probably you should watch out for when you are doing sign-in with a third party, or the service provider who you are accessing the services from is asking for too much from this identity provider, you can always unselect and only let the things that you feel you are comfortable sharing. This is an excellent question, Adriana, and I think we need to have more and more attention and focus to this for multiple reasons. First, uh, as you said, the number of women in security, it's heartbreaking. It's in single digit in percentages. STEM is somewhere close to 10 to 12%, but security is hovering around like 6 to 8%. And we need to do something about it. And why I feel we need to do something about it is because when we build products and services, we are catering to a very diverse population. These products and services are not only for men, they are for women, they are for underrepresented minorities. So these are the products for everyone. And when you're building such products, you want to make sure that they are part of shaping these products, because otherwise how will you cater to the needs of this diverse population? And I also feel like more diverse teams, they build more innovative products, because when they come together, there is a diverse thinking. Yeah, we will need more and more people in cybersecurity. And during actually the pandemic, more companies are hiring cybersecurity experts, as you said, because they see the need. I would say that, first of all, grades is not the primary thing, and that should not be the determining factor of what you want to do. It should be your passion that should determine, like, do you really enjoy what you're doing? And you may not be getting the best grades possible. If you're enjoying what you're doing, you will thrive in the working culture, because it'll be like, I'm not working, I'm doing what I would have done if I had free time. So think about it this way. And
Do
yeah,
you think do you think that the grades though will keep them from getting those jobs? Do you feel that it will be a hindrance? I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so,
so.
because
I
I
don't
think
think
there's
so.
such a large gap and a need.
Yeah. Not just the gap in the need. I know so many people in our industry who haven't even gone to college, to be honest. Like, they don't even have a college degree. And when I say they don't have a college degree, I'm not saying they don't have a college degree in computer science. They don't just have a college degree. Their education was all the way up to high school, and that's pretty much it. And they still have really good jobs in tech industry because that's their passion. They were spending 8 to 10 or maybe even more hours every day learning the space. And some of the well-known defenders that we have on the team, they have been doing it since their school days, because they somehow got interested in this, and then they are spending their every spare cycle trying to figure out how systems work. They are tinkerers.
Right, right.
So I wouldn't worry about
Should-
grades.
So if this is a field that you enjoy, you should stick with it, and don't worry about the grades. It will. the more knowledge, the more you're in it, the more you will learn and the better you will do.
Totally.
Any other words, any other advice?
We need more women, as you mentioned. So anyone listening to this, and if you think that, if you're even like in doubt or considering this, please come and join us.